Hey, babe.
Hey,
You ready to do this podcast for the first time?
for the first time, we are finally doing this podcast after I have asked everybody what they would like to hear from us as far as questions all the way back in May. So,
I think we spent about 10 hours preparing for the podcast since May.
and gave up and then
Gave up again.
got busy and now we're finally doing it.
Yeah.
So for this is for everyone who has been not texting, but direct messaging us on Instagram and just asking us questions like, how did you guys do this? How was this even possible? Well, we are going to tell you guys. So just know, little disclaimer here, we have low grade equipment. We're doing the best that we can. So, this is our first time and, we hope you enjoy and anything that you guys have as far as tips, any sound engineers out there, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, episode 1, how we met. Now, first, before we go into that, I think we just kind of need to give our listeners an introduction to this podcast. So, for those of you who don't know what Gaymard or Dibbis is, Gaymard is a milk cheese type of spread. We put it in our desserts. We eat it for breakfast. We put it on pita bread.
Well, first, who's we?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So, Middle Easterners mostly use that as a breakfast dish or, like a dessert dish and things like that. And Dibbis is just the Arabic way of saying date syrup. So dates, like the dates that you see in those little packages that you eat. There's also a thing called date syrup. We put it on top of Gaymard and we eat it as again, breakfast or, for dessert or whatever. So a little funny story, shout out to my friend Tanya. When she first found out that I was dating a black guy, she's like, oh my God, you look like Gaymard and Dibbis. So it just kind of stuck with me and I had to explain to Ryan what that meant. But, and I've even had him try Gaymard and Dibbis on pita bread. And Ryan, what do you think about it?
Dibbis is it's definitely unique.
Yeah.
It's a very if you I forget dates. So if you had dates before, it's just like a very strong type of a topping or like a saucy. It's like a thick.
It's a thick sweetener. It's like honey.
Yeah,
but
it's
just
like a thick sweetener, but it's like dates. It's like straight up dates.
Well, for the most part, he didn't like it, so that was kind of a buzzkill. But we figured because we don't have any other name for this podcast, we couldn't think of anything else. I am very, very light skinned, if anyone doesn't know that already. And he's obviously black, so
I'm not like black. I'm just
Yeah, he's not like African black.
I'm like a Snickers.
Yeah, you are like a Snickers, maybe. Anyway, so shout out to all my dark-skinned people. You guys are beautiful and wonderful. And shout out to light-skinned people, too. Anyway, because we want to be inclusive. This isn't just for our Middle Easterners.
Or black people.
Or black people. We want this to be everybody, for everyone's, which goes into the purpose and the mission of this podcast. So, purpose of this podcast, baby, you want to take that away?
Yeah, the purpose is... just for any couples out there who are starting off, or maybe you're that person who was in a relationship but kind of ended it just because of differences in race or small differences in religion, cultural differences.
Sure.
This is for you guys to kind of, I guess, hopefully give you a better idea or better outlook on things when it comes to interracial marriages, because you can't, or just relationships, because you can't really choose who you fall in love with sometimes. So you know, don't want people to give up on something that might be really good for them for something else.
Right.
Pretty much.
And we're hoping that if this, gets listened by more people than just our family or friends, that it turns into something that's like a very positive platform about, racial disparities, talking about race in general. Like, we're definitely not afraid to talk about race. We're definitely not afraid to talk about biases in our cultures, or religion. And we're hoping that it even like goes across all different types of people. We don't like we said earlier, we don't want it to just be between Middle Easterners and African Americans or whatever. We're hoping that this podcast gives anybody in any culture, any race, any religion some hope. So with that being said, shall we start this? Like, officially start it?
Yeah, officially start it.
All right. So how we met, that was 6 years ago. So we met on June 20th, 2015. And first of all, shout out to our friends Rita and Christian for hooking us up. So I have a best friend. Her name's Rita. She's Chaldean, but she's not really a typical Chaldean girl, whatever that means.
Pause really quick, babe. Okay. We're back? Yep, we're back. Okay.
So, like I was saying, she's not like a typical Chaldean girl, whatever that means. And Christian is Romanian. So in the sense that she's not typical, she ended up marrying someone outside of her culture. And they're both wonderful, and we're very, very thankful that they introduced us, even though I don't know what the hell Rita was thinking. I think she was just like, whatever, like, I know Ryan's a great guy and Marina's single and desperate. So we could talk about that in another podcast. So shout out to all my girls out there who thought marriage was the only purpose in their life and then realized that's a load of shit. So, yeah, I mean, I first saw Ryan in Rita's like Instagram because Ryan and Christian are best friends. Like, how long have you known Christian, Ryan?
I can't remember the year we moved to Livonia. It's been like 16 years since I've known Christian since the 5th grade, so about 16 years.
16 years.
I think.
So, like, he was a part of the little friend group. They got like a very diverse group of friends. They got, like, you got Christian, who's Romanian. You got, Brian, who's black, another black dude, another half black, half Puerto Rican dude. And then they had an Indian girl and a white girl in their friend group. Mm-hmm. So very, very diverse group coming out of Livonia, surprisingly. No offense to like Livonia or anything like that, but it just wasn't, something that I really saw, especially when, graduating from Utica High School. Like, as much as I loved Utica High School, like, I noticed it was very cliquey, like Chaldeans with Chaldeans, Albanians with Albanians, black people with black people. Like, it just wasn't really that diverse. So I was very impressed that, I am seeing this group of friends, because it's not really something that I saw. I mean, I was trying to, back when I was in high school, like, I would try to talk to everybody. So anyone I didn't talk to, or if I was like an asshole to, I'm sorry. But, you could definitely get at me in the comments if I was one of those people, because I truly apologize now that I'm a therapist. So anyway, off on a tangent. Ryan's shaking his head because you guys will soon see that I am the person who goes off tangents, and then Ryan just like sits there and is like, bro, when is she going to be done? So I got to be conscious of that. But anyway, so I saw Ryan's picture in Rita's Instagram, one of the, I think it was like St. Patrick's Day, where she posted like an outing, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy looks fucking fine. Okay. So And you know, like I remember Rita telling me, "Oh yeah, yeah, I was hanging out with Ryan and we were talking about slavery." And I was like 23 at the time. So I had just graduated with my master's. I got my bachelor's and my master's in social work, and I was very, very like passionate about social justice and like social injustice, I should say. And you know, just like trying to like really right all the wrongs that I grew up with growing up Chaldean. I mean, like, let's face it, not every Chaldean grew up like this, and, you know, that's good. But for the most of us, like for the majority, I would say, you know, we grew up very, very like closed-minded. I, at least for in my family, like I know we were just very, very like Chaldeans are the best, you know, like no one can come, you know, no one can like beat Chaldeans in anything, right? So, and then a few multicultural classes later, I realized like, wow, there's a lot of suffering in this country from other groups, especially Black people. So I was like, oh my God, you guys were talking about slavery. I would love to talk about slavery with this guy. And then Rita just, you know, kind of like, I thought it was four friends hanging out, but it kind of was a double date.
It was a double date, bro.
So Ryan, would you like to discuss your point of view of the date since you thought it was a double date?
Yeah, so we all got together at the B Dubs in Royal Oak, and we're sitting in a booth, and I'm sitting on the part of the booth where you can see the door, so I can see who's coming in and who's leaving, and I'd seen a very blurry picture of Myrna.
First impressions.
Yeah, it was on Facebook or something like that.
What were your first impressions though?
It was very blurry. I couldn't even tell. Like, so it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I hope this works out.
Oh my God. So in a sense, he's saying that he couldn't even tell if he was attracted to me or not, but
Yeah.
he was thirsty. That's for sure. He was definitely thirsty.
Yeah. Well, just to put it into perspective, I had not just gotten out. I was a few months removed from a very long relationship that ended previously, and it was one of those things that, you know, like both of us kind of saw coming, so it was a much easier breakup in a sense. So took some months off, I guess, from dating, and just, you know, worked on myself. Then when I was ready. I tried to get back into it. So Rita and Christian knew Myrna was single, so I think Myrna was working that day.
I was. I drove from 25 in Van Dyke all the way to Royal Oak, and this is how much I knew it was like four friends. This is how much I thought that it was four friends hanging out. I came in a white t-shirt, leggings, and gym shoes. So I just came from work. I mean, my makeup is like all day makeup, and end of the day makeup, I mean. And I was like, oh, okay, we're just hanging out, whatever. We're going to talk about slavery. That was my whole intent, was like, okay, we're going to talk about slavery and racial injustice and all of this stuff, right? So I walked in and we immediately like locked eyes. And the only reason why I remember this is because, like, as much as I thought Ryan was attractive in pictures, he is like a billion times more attractive in person. And I just got immediately nervous, like, oh, it's that kind of day. It's that kind of hangout. Okay. Like, and I just remember sitting down and telling Rita, like, oh my God, he's fine as fuck, dude. Like, so I just got nervous, but Ryan remembers it a little differently.
Well, yeah, so she walks in and, you know, she says hi to Christian, but instead of saying, you know, hey Christian, how you doing? She says, what up though, Christian? Like that. So of course, me being from Livonia, a lot of girls, well, not a lot of girls, some girls try to act a little bit more, up the street. And what that means is you're, Redford, Inkster, Detroitish. It's just like, it's not my type at all. So immediately after that, I was like, oh no, she's one of these, like, I want to be hood, or, I want to be black, which was explaining, oh, I want to talk about slavery a little bit more. So of course I was just automatically turned off. So I was just like, I was just like, shit. Um,
And if anyone remembers me from high school, I mean, I just remember I was like the biggest like goofball, like I was not sexy at all. Like I was not like I think I bloomed probably in 10th grade where I first realized how to put makeup on and it wasn't wearing like white t-shirts or white tank tops with jeans and Air Force Ones, like I didn't really like I would constantly like have these like different voices. I would talk I would talk like my mom, I would talk like a foreigner, I would talk like, whatever. So it didn't really hit me that this person doesn't know me, so like this is going to come off in a very very like disrespectful or like turned off type of way. But as the night went on, I don't even think we ended up talking about slavery. I really don't even remember what we talked about at B-dubs.
yeah,
like I
same
really
thing.
don't even remember, but all I remember is this guy is not giving me any vibes that he's attracted to me like at all. And I just, again, I'm in like a t-shirt and, leggings and freaking gym shoes, like just came from my job. And I was like, oh, okay, there's nothing about me that this guy is showing me that like, he's attracted to me.
Well,
Eh,
yeah, it's one of those things because like I haven't been on a lot of just like blind dates or double dates, but your expectations, like you're kind of setting them, and then her intro kind of knocked her down a couple of points. So if you're looking at this on like a number scale, she's in the negative, right?
What negative what though? Like are we like -1?
You're like a -3 after
Shit.
the introduction. So then you gotta build yourself back up, So it's like, okay, is she truly like this? Like, it's just a like a
Like a
eight
front.
yeah, like a front or a facade that she's putting on, just to get over her nervousness, or is she trying to like impress me or something like that? So instead of worrying about giving off a vibe, I'm trying to listen to how she constructs her sentences and all that to see if to see who she really is. So
Again, I have a master's degree. All right.
yeah,
So
whatever.
none of these mofos have a master's degree yet. All right. I'm basically the smartest person in that group.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And Rita and Christian are residents in the AR right now. So I am no longer the smartest person
Yeah.
in the group. And Ryan is an IT genius, web developer / personal trainer / everything. He does everything that you could possibly think of. So I definitely dumbed myself down. Probably,
I don't know. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what I was doing either. But anyway, the night progressed and we went to I think we went to Commune, the club that's in the basement or whatever.
Yeah, I mean I think it's the same name at this
No,
point.
I think it changed it, but even if it's the same, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Commune.
Yeah, it's just
you
that
know.
it's that bar where you upstairs, like not upstairs, but like on like the ground floor
Yeah, you
is
go
a,
into the
is,
basement.
is a restaurant,
It's very crowded.
and then the basement is where the bar / dance floor is.
So I remember this specific moment, and I think Ryan, you do too, right?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. So
Mhm.
I just remember like he grabbed so he was in front of me walking, and then he put his hand behind me, and like, like as a signal to like grab it, and just like led me through the club. And I don't know, listen, I'm not the type of person who's going to tell people out there, oh, there was this instant connection or this instant like, oh, this like pull, like gravitational pull to this guy. But like I just felt something, like his hand felt, like wonderful. Like it just felt different, like, and you know, like for the sake of like boring you guys, like I'll talk about my dating life later if any, like how I just was dating all the wrong kind of guys for me. Um, you know, I'll save that for later if anyone's even interested. But like, it just was different with Ryan. Like, and that moment just kind of like made me a little bit more like, oh, wow, I might be like, you know, like really wanting to get to know this guy. Because I guess like I just never really had a guy like lead me in the club before. Like, they're usually just trying to like feel me up, you know? So
Yeah.
like,
Well,
it was just different.
it's, if you're trying to imagine the scenario, it's a very, very packed club,
Yeah.
especially around,
I think it was a Saturday, right?
yeah, Saturday
Yeah.
night, 10, 11 o'clock, very, very packed.
For a club, because usually clubs get packed at like 11, 12, but it was
Yeah.
pretty packed for like Saturday night at 10,
Yeah,
11
very, very
o'clock.
packed. So, you got to kind of to do that single file thing where so to me, it was just normal because I had been to a lot of clubs with, Christian and Rita and our friends before. So to me, it's just, okay, grab a hand and, try to get a little bit of space, a little bit of room so you can form a little circle and dance. And, so for me, it wasn't that, that big of a deal, but it was kind of that first.
That was our first touch. Like,
Yeah,
that was like the
it's
first
kind of
time.
our first touch.
Yeah.
Besides the hi, nice to meet you handshake, but
Yeah.
it was more of a here, let's go this way type of a thing.
I guess now when I look back at it, like it just kind of, now that I know Ryan, obviously 6 years later, like knowing how caring and like a watchful observer, protector type of person he is, like he definitely, that like hand touch, like kind of gave off those vibes. And again, anyone who knows the mess of the dating life that I had before knows that I was just like, I didn't even get that kind of like treatment. It just was like, either I was dating guys for the wrong reason or like we were just not like compatible. And I get that now. It's not like they were just trying to like break my heart or whatever, but I just was dating very like emotionally unavailable guys. So, you'll notice as this podcast progresses, if it progresses, like this could be our first and only episode, but like as this podcast progresses, you're gonna see how many things that like Ryan has done that I just was not used to, and I was like just in awe. And that was definitely one of them. So anyway, moving on from the tangent. So we just like started dancing, and like, it just was, he was not disrespectful at all. Like he was very like, I was, doing my thing. So like dancing and, whatever. And I, like it just was like we were having fun. And then when we left, my car was parked in a different area and his car was parked in a different area, but my car was closer to commune. So I remember we were walking around and, like, and this is going to hopefully be one of the subjects of like, the outside perspectives of interracial dating from like different cultures and genders, actually sexuality, things like that. I remember when we were walking and this black dude was like, "Hey man, like good for you," or something like that. Do you remember that?
No, not at all.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Yes, this black dude was like basically giving you a high five, like that you like bagged a white girl. Cause like, again, I can pass for white. I totally know that. I have to correct people all the time that I'm Chaldean. Like I wasn't even born here. I speak another language, yada, yada, yada. And, like it just goes to show how like some black men like will literally root for other black men to be dating outside of their race, which again, everybody's preference, whatever. But, Ryan just kind of smiled and like shrugged him off. And then he walked me to my car. That's why we were walking. And I asked him, I said, "Where's your car at?" And he said, "It's on the other side or whatever." And I said, "I can drive you." He's like, "You sure?" And I said, "Yeah." So, I drove him. And as I dropped him off, what happened?
So, a whole bunch of awkwardness happens because it's for me it's my first real date after a long relationship, so you're used to, you know, a kiss and then getting in the car because you got to go your separate ways. But so for me, it was just, thanks for the ride. I had a really good time. So then before I closed the door, I asked Marina for her number, and she, I remember this so good because it was like one of those, um, man, it was just like one of those, like, yeah, like she kind of rolled her eyes a little bit and said, yeah, sure. Like it was just so whatever. Like I'm never like, this is not going past tonight.
I did? I don't even remember.
I remember
that.
because I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
maybe she wasn't feeling me as much as I was, because at the end of the night, I was very much kind of liking her.
I still didn't know this, by the way, guys. You could not tell. He was stone cold, like face, like just, you know.
But it was a shot in the dark, so I just said, hey, can I have your number? And she was like, yeah, sure. And then again, off the vibe of how she said yes I was like, maybe this won't go as far. So, but I got the number. So,
But wait, so you asked me how to say my name. Like you
I think that was during
that was
the
it.
walk to your car.
No, I remember I was in the car. I was in the car and you asked me it as you were asking my number. Like after I gave you my number, you were like, so how do you say your name exactly? I remember it because that was what was the thing that I was like, this for sure is never going to go anywhere. So anyone who knew me up until probably this point, actually, so 5 years ago, I would always tell people, because I just wanted to be, like it make life easier for everybody. Shout out to all my people pleasers out there. Um, like I would tell everybody my name is Myrna, like phonetically spelled, whatever. Merna, right? But that's not the way that you should be saying it. It's really like Myrna if you wanted to, be like American with a, slight, like way of saying it correctly. Or you want to be like Merna. Okay. That's like the foreign way when my mom's like fucking yelling at me or something. But I would tell everybody it's Myrna because everybody would say my name wrong. They would say Marina or Maria or whatever. Like they just would like add letters, add what symbols, whatever. So when he asked me that, I was like, oh, in my head, I remember this perfectly. In my head, I was like, oh, this is never going to go anywhere. So I might as well screw him up with saying my name. He's never going to get my name right. So I might as well tell him, the foreign way of saying my name. So I was like, it's Myrna. And he was like, it's Myrna? And I said, yes, Myrna. He's like, okay. And guys, he never got it wrong. Like,
No, yeah, I made
never
it.
got it wrong.
I made it a point because, I guess I glossed over this fact, but my last girlfriend before Myrna was Lebanese, so I had kind of made it a effort to try to pronounce, her name right, and then her brothers and sisters' names correctly. So
Yeah.
coming off of that, and then having, I don't know, like how to say this, having other,
Friends
know,
that are not American.
yeah. So
essentially.
like, we have a
Indian.
a friend, Rushma,
Yep.
and to this day we're still saying it incorrectly. But I've always tried to always make a point. If your name is this, I'm going to try to say your name correctly. So even if it's not, a overseas name, it's a, it's just a different name. I'm going to try to say your name correctly.
And that was like a huge like just a brownie point for me because again, it's like no one really cared to like no one has ever asked me. I honestly can't remember. And if there's anybody out there that has asked me, how do you say your name? And I told you it's Myrna, I apologize. But I probably just thought you, like, why bother? Like, why bother trying to tell this person, like, how to say my name right? They're never going to get it right. So for him to make that effort, like, that was, like, a huge brownie point for me. So, yeah. And that was our and then we just went our separate ways. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
drove home, and I don't remember like thinking about him or anything. Like, I really don't
Same.
remember that. I
Yeah.
don't. I just remember, fast forward to the next day, um I had to go to work. So, and at my job at the time, like, so I was a cashier at a Italian supermarket, bakery, whatever. And, like, they were very strict about having phones on the floor, so like while you're working. So I could never answer my phone unless I was on break. So, I think I was working the day shift that day, and when he texted me, I had already had my break, I had already had lunch and all that stuff. He texted me, like, I think like around 4 o'clock that day, and just like, it was like a simple text, like, "Hey, how you doing? Like, how are you? Whatever." But I couldn't answer until I got off at 7 o'clock. So I left him like on, like, I left him on red or whatever, even though I didn't have my read receipts. But you know what I'm saying. So like, I left him on red for like a good 3-4 hours. Because by the time I got home, changed, all that stuff, like, he was waiting. And, how did that how did that make you feel, Ryan?
It was hard because it was again those vibes from the night before was like, this is what to expect. But I was also working. I was working at a restaurant at the time. So and I was a hostess, so I had a little bit more time on my hands. That midday, because it's super slow at restaurants. So I text her. I can't remember where I texted you. It was just more of like, had
It
a
was
great
just like,
time, happy,
yeah,
something along those lines.
like, how was your day?
Yeah, and then and back then I think yeah, I had an Android and so did you. So there really wasn't a red receipt. It was more of a I hope this goes through type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, so green bubbles. So it's just hoping that the text actually went through and hoping that she got it, but me being the person I am, that's always just like when you wait on something, I get very anxious. So I'm that guy who's looking out the mirror for his Amazon package on the day that it's supposed to get delivered. Um, so yeah, it was like shit. I guess those vibes are right. Maybe she's just not gonna respond, and that was it. But it wasn't, and she texted me back that night. I can't not remember
I don't.
those
Yeah.
2 days. I don't know what was going on, but I just don't remember those days. Everything after that I remember like it was yesterday.
Same. Yeah.
It's very weird.
Very weird. Like, I just remember I remember when we go back to this, you tell me, like, damn, I just remember thinking like I fucked up. Like,
You know.
I texted her too fast.
Yeah,
I
that's
texted her too soon.
that's what I was feeling. Cuz like usually again, super rusty. No game at all. So um coming out of those relationships. So if you're this person as well, if you're coming off a long-term relationship and you're rusty, just do whatever just be you. Because if you try to do something you're not, then I don't know if I would have waited a couple of days, how she would have felt getting a weird text. you know
I don't think I would have like, I honestly think I would have, like, not been interested, cuz I another thing I forgot to mention when he asked me for my number, and, asked me for, like, how to pronounce my name. You guys, I was not like gonna date a black guy. Hello? Like,
I was
no.
in the same boat. I'm not gonna go through what I went through with my last relationship and the cultural differences, and
And just like,
so to
well, be
me it
more
was
specific. Like, like, as far as, like, from what I'm understanding, is it like more so like I don't want to go through, like, not being able to show off my relationship freely, like, be under wraps, things like that.
yeah. So the last one, since it was at a younger age, we both had to do a lot of like running around to hang out, to see each other, to we didn't really do too much because just not having the, I guess, amount of money. And then when you're a woman and you're Middle Eastern, you have a lot less freedom than you would if you were a male. And that's just from personal experience, which I think from everybody that I talk to, it's
Yeah.
pretty much the
That's,
same
That's pretty much
until you're
accurate.
like engaged or out
No,
the house,
until you're married.
married,
And then
whatever it
if
is.
you're lucky, you're married to a guy who's not as controlling as your parents or worse.
Yeah, so you guys got it rough. So,
Yeah.
but again, it was just one of those things where, for me, I was just looking at it like this. I'm not gonna marry this girl. I'm this is just me getting back on the horse.
Damn, you never told me that.
Let me get my game back together. We'll see where it goes, but this isn't gonna be some long term thing. That was my thought process, at least.
I guess, yeah. I guess like coming from this, like, he's getting back into the game, and I'm like, nah, this guy is just like, what's the worst that can happen? He could just be a friend. Like, well, he is gonna be a friend because he's black, and I'm never gonna marry him.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I married him. So like, I just, I was like, I was not ever, ever, ever in my mind thinking that I was gonna end up with this dude, So like, when he texted me, I was just kind of like taken aback because, again, coming from that date where I was like, oh, he's not into me, that's for sure. So I'm not even gonna entertain this. And on top of that, him being black, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna entertain this, whatever. And then when I saw he texted me, I was like, okay, like, all right, I will text you back, sir, and see where this goes.
Yeah.
So like, I just when I saw that, I was like, and that was another thing is like, talking to him was so easy. And I think me coming from this, like, I need to be a certain way, a certain Chaldean girl to date these certain kind of Chaldean men. And having that pressure of just like not being myself. Like, anyone who knows me back in the day, like, I was never myself. I was not goofy. I was not, whatever. So like, Ryan was kind of like this breath of fresh air. Like, this is not going anywhere. So I don't have to act a certain way. I don't have to be a certain way. I don't have to like, like put a facade on or whatever. And I just, we just talked, and it was just like so natural. Like, it was no effort in it at all.
I think now that we're kind of talking about this more and more, I think our expectations were so low of
For sure.
what
For
of
sure.
of kind of what the relationship we were aiming for
Yeah.
made it easier, and we didn't have a lot of pressure. So I think if you are going into a relationship, don't try to expect a husband out of it all the time, or a wife out of it all the time.
Well, you can't say that to foreigners, babe, because that's the whole point of being in a relationship.
That's the whole point sometimes, but
essentially.
other times, the less expectations you have, the easier it is to talk to someone about, life.
Yeah, so I guess so correct me if I'm wrong. Like, what you're trying to say is like, don't have any expectations of like where it can go. Like, obviously, if your guys' like relationship goals align, then you can start like talking about like future and stuff like that. Like, if you're dating, again, if you're like me and dating guys who are emotionally unavailable, like, I was ready for marriage at the age of like 16. It felt like, I wanted to get married at 19 years old. No lie. I went to my dad and I was like, find me somebody. This is how serious I was about marrying a Chaldean guy. I told my dad at 19 years old, I was like, find me somebody to marry because I want to be married. And, I just, thank God, he didn't do that. I don't know what kind of stopped him. He never really told me, but, like, I'm just glad he didn't. And I just, again, like, growing up and always having that expectation, like, your only purpose in life is to get married and have kids. Like, I had no other, you guys, I got my master's degree at 22 because I didn't want school to be in the way of me getting married. Because again, this is back in like 2014, not that long ago. This is just like 7 years ago. But I was that, kind of, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but like, just like, what's a better word for that? Like,
Well,
it's just culturally
yeah,
speaking,
it's
like,
it's just cultural. That's
And
all.
it's and shout out to the girls who, did that and they're successful and they've raised wonderful families and, they're great. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
like in no
this
way, shape, or form is she saying that's a bad way of thinking.
definitely not.
Like no,
Because
like
I know people, it actually worked out for them,
yeah,
and they are
yeah.
they're raising beautiful families. They have wonderful values, all of that stuff. But
Like if anything, that provides a lot of structure.
for
You
sure,
know, like I need
for
to get
sure.
to A, I need to get to B, I need to get to C.
Think about it, because when you have kids at like 20 or 19
Yeah.
or whatever, like that's a huge motivation to like
Hmm.
better yourself and all that stuff. And I even have a friend right now who's like, got her nursing degree and has 2 kids and got married at 19, and she's like killing it.
Yeah.
So
So
I definitely like, shout out to all those girls too. Shout out to all those women. But for me, I don't think that's what like God intended for me, like, and not to bring God into this and all that stuff, but like just for my destiny, I don't think that was meant to be, because if anyone knows me, I did not grow up in a typical Chaldean way, even though I really strive to be the typical Chaldean girl. I come from a broken family. I come from, like a lot of divorce, and it just kind of like, again, it molded me into the person that I am. And, I'm very proud of the person I am today. So
me too.
thank you, Habibi. Anyway, enough of that sappy shit. So yeah, basically, like, we didn't really have any expectations, so, of each other. And it just like, it made it so much easier to date. Oh my God. Like now I just try to tell everybody, hey, if it's not natural, like if you're nervous, like it's obviously okay to be nervous. Like I'm not talking about like first date nerves or whatever. I'm talking about like when you're talking to this person, are you constantly like, is he going to text me back? Or like, are you like, oh, should I say this or should I say that or blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just like all that anxiety, at least for me, like I'm not trying to give dating advice out there, even though, like I am a therapist and all that stuff. Like I'm not trying to tell you guys what you should do. It just, I'm telling you what worked for us, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But for us, that's just kind of like how I noticed that Ryan was different than the guys that I dated. And when I say dated, I say like very loosely, like we talked for 2 months and then it ended because
Yeah, Marina's version of dating is very different.
yeah, Ryan was my first boyfriend, you guys. So I was 23 when I had my first boyfriend. Like I have never had anybody ask me out on a date. I have never had anybody like take me out on a date. It was always like us hanging out, and it was always me initiating it. And like, so I was that woman, like who would just initiate those dates. And I have never met a guy who wasn't intimidated by that. They were turned off by that, because again, growing up Chaldean, a Chaldean woman should not be asking a guy out on a date, especially if he was Chaldean. So
Yeah. So fast forward to, I guess, a couple of days after the initial texting. Actually, no, it wasn't texting. It was more phone calls that we did.
yeah, I remember I
on the
asked
phone.
you if we want to talk on the phone, and you're like, "Oh, are we taking our relationship to the next level?"
Oh, I don't remember that at all either.
I was
But
like, "Okay, he's not afraid to talk on the phone, because most people text now." So
yeah, but so I think it was that. So if we went out and we talked that Sunday, we both worked. I think it
Yeah.
was that next Monday or Tuesday, and this is during August. So just to give you a
Yeah,
know.
I was graduated. I mean, Ryan was starting college at OCC
No,
or Oakland.
Oakland,
No,
yeah,
you were starting at Oakland,
I
actually.
had just transferred from OCC to Oakland.
University, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of also one of those weird things where it's like, oh, I'm going to Oakland. She went to Oakland for her bachelor's, so it was a nice little easy thing to do, like as a date, to go show me around Oakland.
Yeah, that's right.
But our first official like getting back together type of a date was I was very, very, very into fitness at that time. So I was like,
Same here.
I think at that point in my life, I had kind of, after that relationship, I had just buried myself into going to work and going to the gym and then going out. that was kind of like that was my
Right.
life for a couple of months.
Yeah, Ryan had a six pack when I met him.
Yeah, I was
He
very.
he like you were like compared to how you are now, like you definitely like
I was about 30 pounds lighter,
yeah,
but just
all muscle,
all
pure muscle.
Yeah, just crazy, but not doing it the right way, obviously. But we can get to that later. But but just very very lean. So I was texting out. I was like, hey, do you want to? I texted Mary. I was like, hey, like jokingly, because she lives 55 minutes away from where I was gonna go work out, which was my old high school track to go run around and do some sprints.
Right.
So
Stevenson, Livonia,
yeah.
and Shelby Township.
Yeah.
So that was like a good 50 minutes.
So very jokingly, I was like, hey, do you want to come work out today? And without having to, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Like explain or reel you in, whatever.
Oh yeah, like it convinced me.
Convincing.
Yeah.
Without any convincing. She's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Because okay, so here's a backstory to this. All right, again, shout out to Rita because we were texting on the side and she was like, do you want to? Or no, I told her, I said, he's not really asking me like to do anything or like hang out, and I have a day off today. He has a day off today because I think like maybe Ryan sent in like the group text between me, Rita, and him and Christian was like, anybody doing anything today? Anybody want to like, go on the track or something like at Stevenson? Or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So, I kind of like texted Rita on that side. I was like, Rita, I kind of want to hang out with him. Like, because again, I was into fitness too and all that. And, it was a beautiful day outside. So, like, it was like running on the track is like working out was like a perfect.
It was hot,
thing.
though.
It was
August.
very hot. Yeah. It was August.
This
it was
is
like 90
beginning.
degrees.
Well, no, this wasn't August.
Was it?
This would be in July or June.
Oh, that's right.
'Cause this is a couple of days after.
Yes,
'Cause we
that's
met-
right. We
so-
met June 20th.
So
yeah.
June 20th is kind of the date that we go by, I guess.
It is the date.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
the date that we go by when people ask us what our anniversary is or
Yeah.
whatnot.
So that's
So
the day we met. So, but yeah, you're right. How did we forget? So yeah, a couple days after that, so it's June, and like it's really hot, but
Yeah.
still like a beautiful day. It's sunny, whatever. And I just kind of texted Rita on the side. I was like, I kind of want to hang out with them, and she's like, don't even say another word. So she was like, she texted in the group text like, hey Ryan, like what are you gonna do today? Like, is anything you want to do or something along those lines? And Ryan was like, yeah, like I want to kind of run in Stevenson or whatever. And he asked like if anybody wanted to go, and Rita just was like, yeah, I can't go, but and I was like, I could go. And I will never forget this because this mofo like is such a hypocrite. All right. I said, oh, I'll go. And he's like, oh no, like I no, you don't have to. Like, I feel bad. You're driving all the way over here. And I was like, no, it's not a big deal. It's my day off. And he's like, I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable with you, like, driving all the way here. Spoiler alert.
foreshadowing right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable making you drive all this way.
Spoiler alert, guys. I was the one who was driving most of the time because we had more choices and more freedom.
Yeah.
Because, his mom knew about me and my parents didn't. So, and I didn't want to get caught. No one apparently no one knew me on the west side, but I got some cousins who are on the west side who ended up seeing us by accident. So
Yeah.
that's another story. But
yeah, so we went on that
Yeah.
date. It was a weird. I've never been on a date where you work out. So we ran at the track, and then not to get too much into that, but we ran at the track. That was fun. It was hot, and then we went to go work out at this gym that I was working at part time as well, on top of the restaurant. We worked out there, and then we went to
I think, did we go to the track
track first, then
first?
track first, then the gym, and then we went to get some
Menchie's.
froyo, to get some
Yeah.
menchies, and we sat, talked a little bit more, had some menchies, and then that kind of wrapped up the afternoon. And I drove her back to her car, and then we had, in my eyes, one of the most awkward hugs, and just like looking into each other's eyes, like,
Do we kiss? Do
yeah,
we not
it was
kiss?
very it was very long. It wasn't like cringy long, I guess. It was just like
It was probably like a second too long.
yeah, it was
Like,
just like does she want to kiss me?
and I was like, does he want to kiss? Like, we're both looking at each other, like, do we want to kiss each other? But
Yeah.
like, obviously it's like the first or second date, if you want to call
Mm-hmm.
it. But what he's failing to mention, you guys, is that like so he just skipped through the whole part. Okay, like I passed out on our first date.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Yes, I did.
It was hot, and she got lightheaded, so we had to
No.
go sit down.
No. Okay.
We have different definitions of passing out. I have the correct one, and she has hers.
Okay, so let me just explain, all right? Because again, you know me, tangents, right? So let me just explain. I did not eat. Don't know why. I wasn't hungry, but like, again, I didn't realize like that a 50-minute drive would make me hungry. Plus, on top of that, working out and all that stuff. So I I didn't really eat. Obviously I had water, but it was a very hot day out. Like again, it was like blaring sun, 90-degree weather, and we were running in the track. So on the track, whatever. So I just felt like I'm prone to fainting. Like I would faint as a kid. And I remember like blacking out as a kid. So like I haven't done that in quite some time. So because I wasn't out in the sun like that, and I would always have like a full stomach. So I was like blacking out, and it felt like I was gonna faint. And he was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, and I didn't tell him that I didn't eat. And I don't have like, you guys, I'm not like cute or anything. Like, I don't have any makeup on. And anyone who knows me, I have like very dark like circles under my eyes. So like no makeup on. I'm sweating. I sweat like even if I move an inch in 90-degree weather, I am sweating. So I'm not afraid to sweat because it's like I literally have nothing. I can't prevent it. So I just kind of like accepted it. So he was just like, "Do you want water? Like, do you want, like he was just very attentive." And again,
I think we both were very unprepared for that day.
very
'Cause we
unprepared.
didn't have water bottles.
Nothing. No snacks, no bars,
Yeah,
like
nothing.
no umbrella, nothing. Like it just was like, okay, we're gonna run, and we're like nervous, and we're whatever. And when we went to go get ice cream, I thought the date was gonna end, after running. But you want to tell them what you texted Rita?
I have no idea what I texted
You don't
her.
remember?
No.
You texted Rita, and you were like, "I don't want this date to end, but I don't know where to take her or where to go." You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh my
I
God.
remember what comes after that though, but I don't remember that at all.
Well, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, so
So after he texted Rita said, "Why don't you guys go get some frozen yogurt?" But apparently he doesn't remember that. But
yeah,
that definitely happened because I just thought it was so cute that he didn't. Again, I don't know if this guy fucking likes me, you guys. All right. So, and I just passed out in front of him, but in his mind, I didn't pass out, but whatever. So he texted Rita and said, like, what should I do? Like, I don't want this date to end. I don't want her to like drive all the way back home. And she suggested frozen yogurt.
yeah, so we went down to Frozen to Menchie's, and even though at the time I was working, I think it was like 3 jobs. So I had a job at a restaurant, then I was working front desk at one gym, and then kind of like the supervisor of the fitness room at another club out in West Bloomfield. And I think it was one of those weeks where you're in between checks.
And
So-
Ryan used to love spending money on a sale, you guys, especially
Yeah.
Nike.
Yeah,
Like,
spent the, especially when you start going up to Oakland, and Great Lakes is
like right there.
like a 15-minute drive,
Yeah.
not even, and so whatever. But I took her to Menchie's, and it was one of those things where like you don't think about it too much, but I realized it when we were checking out that it's like, oh yeah, I don't have any money. So if you're not familiar with frozen yogurt places, you weigh your food, and that's kind of how much you owe essentially. So I think I had
You had $10.
$10 in my account.
That's it. No, you had a $10 bill. That's it. I remember.
That was
it
it?
cash. Yeah.
Okay,
remember
and
that.
I think and I purposefully knew that Menchie's was like a weighing thing, so I don't think I went too hard. But it came out to about like $9 and 60 some cents.
Yeah.
And I was like, oof. Oof.
You know, like I wouldn't call myself a cheap date. I'm just like a very like
No, Mary's very cheap date.
very, very like I'm your chicken nuggets, fries type of person, like, or hamburger and, you know, or chicken tenders and fries, whatever. Like, I'm not steak, I'm not seafood, I'm not nothing like that, you know? Not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
I'm very, very self-conscious about money. And, you know, that might come from, you know, like, you know, how I grew up and all that stuff. And I just, like, I'm all about saving. So I'm not about to, like, you know, go over here and spend this guy's money. Because, again, I'm a people pleaser. And that includes, you know, men and just doing whatever I can to make sure this person likes me. But with Ryan, again, it was different. Like, it's not like I was trying to do him a favor or anything. I didn't know he only had $10 to his name. So
I didn't know either until I got up to that cash
Right.
register. I was like, ooh.
right.
Lord.
So, you know, again, I guess like the purpose of this, as we conclude this episode, like this is just kind of a reminder for you guys. Like, at the end of the day, if this person's for you, they're for you, and if they're not, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how much money is, you know, like in your bank account. For
Sometimes.
sometimes, but like the point is that like it works out, you know. Again, even if he had like even the slightest thing that could change, what if the Menchie's, you know, total came to like 1060? Am I gonna be like, you know, I know most men don't carry change, so I probably would have jumped in and been like, oh, I have 60 cents, you know, like, and that still wouldn't have mattered. But like, I guess the point that I'm trying to say is like every step, decision, whatever that you take is just like it's you're on the path, you know, like you're on the right path to whatever is destined for you. Because again, there's a lot of things that could have went wrong in that first encounter at B-Dubs. There were things that went wrong.
Yeah.
You know, from my first impression to his impression of me, what I thought his impression of me was, and then just like, you know, again, to the name thing, to how I looked at him when he asked me for my number. Like, there was a lot of things that went wrong, but it still, you know, like worked out. So
Yeah. And like at the end of the day, we didn't force it, you know, like
Yeah.
even though, you know, I was trying to get her to talk to me and try to get together and all that stuff, it was just more of a, you know, let me do this, and whatever happens, you know. So we always go back and talk like, oh, what if you didn't ask for my number? What if you
Yeah.
didn't walk me to my car? What if, you know, what if? So
what if me saying what up though?
Yeah.
Like completely, you're like, I'm
like,
out.
what if she,
I'm out.
like what if she came up and actually, you know, spoke like she usually does to everybody?
Yeah.
So all these little things. So I think from both of us is just be yourself, be genuine, and like Marina is just very she's very unapologetically her, wherever she goes, and
It could be a bad thing sometimes.
sometimes, but just the more genuine you are, in my mind, the quicker you'll realize, is this person, you know, for me, because of how they react to you. So yeah, I guess that's the moral. That's the moral of the story for episode 1 is just be genuine.
Yeah. To yourself and to others.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, if this pops off, you know, we're always accepting feedback. We're always accepting questions. You know, we've gotten a few questions from back in May that we are looking forward to answer. But, you know, we definitely want more because we have a few, but we want to open up this platform again, you know, like coming from any kind of cultural, race, identity, whatever. You know, you don't have to be Chaldean, you don't have to be black to like engage in this conversation.
Yeah, you don't have to be straight,
Nothing.
bi,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
identify, you know, whatever way. Obviously we wouldn't have a lot of experience with everything, so if you have questions just about, you know, just
How did we do it?
how did
Like,
we do it,
Which
what
we
are
will
your-
get into.
yeah,
you
what are
know.
your thoughts on this, what are your thoughts on that? And you know, the grand scheme of things, it's just about how two people from different cultures are experiencing life together so far. So
So
yeah.
thank you guys for listening. And, we hope to make this like a weekly thing. Right, babe?
We can
Weekly?
try. We got a busy month ahead of us.
We do.
So
We do. But I do want to make this a priority. We do definitely want to make this a priority now that we're finally getting this started. Because again, this was supposed to happen back in May. So, but yeah, I mean, if this is like something you guys are interested in and we see that there's interest, and, again, the main thing is like helping at least one person. So like, even if this is helping only one person, we're happy with that. So, but definitely if we see the interest out there and it's not just our family and friends, we definitely will keep this going. So we appreciate you guys for listening. What do the kids call it these days, babe? Like, share, subscribe.
yeah, so I have no idea where this is going to be published. Most likely YouTube. So if you do want more and you liking where this is going, hit the like button. If you're disliking it, hit the dislike button. Try to say why.
Yeah, we would love to hear why.
And then also subscribe and then just hit that alarm bell if you want to be updated and kind of want to hear what we have to say right when it comes out.
All right. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.